Officer Nathan Briggs tapped his fingers on the steering wheel of his patrol car as rain pattered on the roof. The digital clock on his dashboard showed 11:23 p.m. His shift would end in 37 minutes. The streets of New Atlanta glistened under the neon lights and holographic advertisements that lit up the night sky despite the downpour. Another night keeping the peace between humans and those creatures, he muttered to himself, driving slowly past the Draconi district, where the reptilian aliens had established their community since Earth joined the Galactic Confederation. The sight of their scaled faces and glowing eyes always made his skin crawl. His radio crackled. "All units near Central Transit Station, we have reports of a disturbance at Platform 3. Briggs picked up the receiver. "Officer Briggs responding, I'm 2 blocks away." The Central Transit Station was an impressive structure of glass and steel, built after first contact to accommodate both human and non-human travelers. Briggs parked his car and stepped into the rain, pulling his jacket collar up against the weather. Inside the station, the usual evening crowd had thinned out. A few humans waited for the last trains, alongside a handful of aliens. 2 tall, willowy Illuvians with their characteristic blue skin, a group of smaller Menkari traders, and several Draconi commuters standing apart from the others. Briggs approached a station security guard. "What's the problem here?" The guard pointed toward Platform 3. "Some confusion with the arrivals from the orbital shuttle. Someone reported aggressive behavior, but it seems quiet now." Briggs nodded and made his way to Platform 3, where a sleek silver shuttle had just docked from the orbital station. Passengers were disembarking, mostly humans returning from off-world business, looking tired and dragging luggage behind them. Then he spotted her. A black woman in her 40s, dressed in a simple but elegant gray suit carrying a single travel case. What caught his attention was the Confederation insignia on her jacket and the Draconi language book she held in her hand. His mood, already sour from the rain and the late shift, darkened further. Humans cozying up with the reptiles, he thought. That's what's wrong with this city. The woman stopped near the information booth, checking the transit schedules. Briggs walked over, positioning himself deliberately in her space. "Identification," he said flatly, not bothering with courtesy. The woman looked up at him with calm, intelligent eyes. "Good evening, officer," she said, her voice steady and professional. "Is there a problem?" "Routine check," Briggs said. "Anyone coming from off-world needs additional verification." This was not true. There was no such policy, but Briggs had used this excuse before when he wanted to hassle someone who bothered him. The woman studied him for a moment, then reached into her pocket and pulled out her identification card. Dr. Amara Washington, returning from diplomatic service in the Centauri system. Briggs glanced at the card. The credentials were impressive: Confederation Diplomatic Corps, high-level clearance, multiple commendations. But he chose to ignore all that. "You speak their language?" he asked, nodding toward her book. "Yes," Dr. Washington replied. "I find that understanding other cultures helps build bridges." Briggs snorted. "Bridges, right. You know they were eating their young when we were building rockets, don't you? Some advanced species?" Dr. Washington's expression remained neutral. "That's actually incorrect, officer. Draconi have a complex family structure and highly value their children. Perhaps you're thinking of a different species, or perhaps you've been misinformed." Several passengers had slowed down to watch the interaction. Among them, a young man had taken out his phone and was recording discreetly. "Misinformed?" Briggs felt his anger rising. "I patrol their district. I see what they do. While you've been off playing ambassador, some of us have been keeping real humans safe." "I appreciate your service," Dr. Washington said calmly, "but I believe safety comes from understanding, not division." Something about her composure made Briggs even angrier. Who was she to lecture him? Some off-world diplomat who probably hadn't set foot on Earth in years, telling him how to do his job. "Understanding," he mimicked. "Let me tell you what I understand. I understand that humans like you, who side with them, are the reason they're taking over our neighborhoods, our jobs." Dr. Washington's expression changed slightly, not to anger but to something like professional assessment. "Officer, may I have your badge number, please?" That pushed him over the edge. The request for his badge number, the typical move of someone planning to file a complaint, triggered something in Briggs. Before he could stop himself, before he even realized what he was doing, he spat at her feet. The station fell silent. The passengers stared. The security guard at the end of the platform started moving toward them. Dr. Washington looked down at the floor, then back up at Briggs. She didn't look angry or frightened. Instead, she looked at him with something close to pity. "Officer Briggs," she said, reading his name tag. "Badge number 8734, thank you." Briggs felt a flash of shame mixed with defiance. Without another word, he turned and walked away, cutting through the shocked onlookers. Behind him, he heard someone say to Dr. Washington, "Ma'am, are you all right? I recorded that whole thing. You can use it when you report him." "Thank you," he heard her reply. "But I believe everything will sort itself out soon enough." Outside, the rain had intensified. Briggs sat in his patrol car, heart pounding with lingering anger and emerging regret. He had never spat at anyone before, not even the Draconi he despised. What had gotten into him? That woman had just pressed all his buttons somehow. He drove back to the station in silence, finished his paperwork, and clocked out without speaking to anyone. On the drive home to his small apartment, he convinced himself that she had provoked him, that she was part of the problem with Earth these days. The UI. Next morning, Briggs woke to his phone buzzing with messages from fellow officers. "Did you see the announcement? New chief starting tomorrow. Direct from the Confederation." Briggs scrolled through the messages, still groggy. The last message from his partner made him sit up straight. "They say she's tough but fair. Just finished a big diplomatic mission. Name's Washington, Dr. Amara Washington." A cold feeling spread through Briggs's chest. He quickly searched the name online, and there she was, the woman from the transit station. Dr. Amara Washington, decorated diplomat, expert in interspecies relations, and now the new police chief of New Atlanta, the woman he had harassed and spat at just hours before. Briggs stared at her image on his screen, remembering her calm voice saying, "I believe everything will sort itself out soon enough." Tomorrow, he would face her in the precinct, not as a random traveler, but as his new boss. And somewhere out there was video evidence of exactly how he had treated her. Officer Nathan Briggs put his head in his hands and wondered if his career had ended with that moment of hate. Officer Nathan Briggs arrived at the precinct 45 minutes early, hoping to blend into the background during the morning meeting. He had barely slept, his mind replaying the transit station incident over and over. The knot in his stomach tightened as he walked through the main doors. The station buzzed with unusual energy. Officers gathered in small groups, voices low but excited. Maintenance staff had cleaned the main conference room, and someone had put up a "Welcome Chief Washington" banner above the entrance. Briggs slipped into the break room where his partner, Officer Diane Miller, was pouring coffee. "There you are," Miller said, handing him a cup. "You look terrible." "Rough night," Briggs mumbled, accepting the coffee. "So this new chief starts today?" Miller nodded. "Everyone's talking about her. 5 years negotiating peace in the Centauri system. Before that, she was police commissioner in Old Chicago. They say the mayor personally requested her." Briggs took a long sip of his coffee. "What else do you know about her?" "Not much. Word is she's a reformer. Big on community policing and interspecies relations." Miller lowered her voice. "Hey, is something wrong? You look like you're about to be sick." Before Briggs could answer, the station captain appeared in the doorway. "Everyone to the conference room. Chief's arriving in 10 minutes." Officers filed into the large conference room, finding seats or standing along the walls. Briggs positioned himself in the back corner, as far from the podium as possible. Maybe in the crowd she wouldn't notice him right away. The room fell silent as the station captain entered with a woman beside him. Dr. Amara Washington looked exactly as she had the night before, except now she wore a formal police uniform with chief's insignia. Her eyes scanned the room full of officers. "Good morning," she said, her voice clear and confident. "I'm Dr. Amara Washington, your new chief of police. Before we begin, I want to thank Captain Garcia for his leadership during the transition. Briggs stared at the floor, willing himself to become invisible. His heart pounded so loudly he wondered if the officers next to him could hear it. I've spent the last 5 years working with different species across the Confederation. Chief, Washington continued. I've learned that safety and trust go hand in hand whether we're talking about humans or our non-human neighbors. She paused, looking around the room. New Atlanta has the largest mixed-species population on Earth. How we police this city will set the standard for human-alien relations worldwide. Miller nudged Briggs. She seems solid, she whispered. Chief Washington walked to a digital display board. Starting next week, we're implementing a new initiative called the Cultural Immersion Program. Every officer will spend 3 months living within one of our non-human communities. A wave of muttering spread through the room. Some officers looked interested, others concerned. This isn't a punishment, Washington explained. It's an opportunity to understand the people we serve. You can't protect what you don't understand. Captain Garcia stepped forward with a tablet. We've already assigned placements based on beat, assignments, and language aptitude. Chief Washington took the tablet. I'll be announcing the first round of assignments now. She began reading names, pairing officers with host families from various alien communities. Some were assigned to the peaceful Illuvians, others to the commercial-minded Menkari neighborhoods. With each name that wasn't his, Briggs felt his anxiety grow. Finally, when only a handful of officers remained unassigned, she looked up. Officer Nathan Briggs. The room seemed to shrink around him. Every eye turned in his direction. Briggs raised his hand slightly. Chief Washington looked directly at him, their eyes meeting for the first time since the transit station. There was no anger in her face, only calm determination. Officer Briggs, you'll be joining the household of Elder Zex Krell and her family in the Draconi District. The Draconi District, the very community he most despised. Briggs felt his face flush with heat. Chief, he started, his voice strained. I don't think the assignments are final, she said firmly. Elder Zex Krell is a respected community leader and has hosted officers before. You'll report to her residence on Monday. After finishing the assignments, Chief Washington dismissed the meeting. Captain Garcia will provide detailed information packets. I look forward to working with all of you. Officers began filing out, but Chief Washington raised her voice slightly. Officer Briggs, a moment of your time, please. The knot in Briggs's stomach turned to ice. He remained rooted to his spot as the room emptied. Miller gave him a curious look as she left. When they were alone, Chief Washington walked over to him, stopping a respectful distance away. I believe we've met before, she said quietly. Briggs swallowed hard. Ma'am, about last night. I want to explain. She raised her hand, stopping him. I'm not interested in explanations right now, Officer Briggs. I'm interested in results. Are you going to fire me? He asked, his voice barely audible. Is that what you think should happen? Briggs stared at the floor, unable to meet her gaze. I would understand if you did. Chief Washington was silent for a moment. I've reviewed your record. 10 years on the force, commendations for bravery, high arrest rates. She paused. And 17 complaints of excessive force or discourtesy, primarily involving non-human citizens. Briggs had no response. I don't believe in throwing people away, Officer Briggs. I believe in transformation. She stepped closer. That's why I personally selected your placement with the Krell family. Briggs looked up, surprised. You did? The video of our encounter has already spread online, she said. By now, most of your colleagues have probably seen it. Many are calling for your badge. His heart sank. Of course the video had spread. In this digital age, nothing stayed private. But firing you solves nothing, Washington continued. It just removes the problem from my sight. I'm more interested in addressing the root cause. She walked to the window, looking out at the city skyline where human architecture blended with alien design elements. The Draconi have faced the most discrimination since arriving on Earth. They're also among the most misunderstood. Turning back to face him, she said, 3 months with Elder Krell's family. Learn their language, eat their food, understand their culture. At the end, you'll write a comprehensive report on your experience. And if I refuse? Then you can hand in your badge and gun now. Briggs felt trapped. Living among the Draconi seemed impossible, but losing his job was unthinkable. Why not just punish me? He asked. Why this? Chief Washington's expression softened slightly. Because punishment doesn't change hearts, Officer Briggs, experience does. She walked to the door. Report to the Krell residence on Monday. And, officer? Yes, Chief? The Confederation ambassador has expressed concerns about Earth's readiness for greater responsibilities after seeing that video. Your actions have consequences beyond just this precinct. With that, she left, leaving Briggs alone in the conference room, facing the reality that his moment of hatred had not only jeopardized his career but had cast a shadow on humanity's standing in the galaxy. Monday evening arrived too quickly for Officer Nathan Briggs. He stood outside a tall building in the heart of the Draconi district, a single duffel bag slung over his shoulder. The structure combined Earth architecture with Draconi design elements. Curved doorways, heat-absorbing panels, and symbolic patterns carved into the stone facade. Briggs checked the address again on his phone. This was it. The home of Elder Zex Krell and her family. His home for the next 3 months. He pressed the communication panel beside the door. A soft chime sounded, followed by a voice that had the distinctive rasp of Draconi speech, attempting. English. Yes? Who visits our dwelling? Briggs cleared his throat. Officer Nathan Briggs. I'm the officer assigned to your family for the immersion program. A series of clicking sounds came through the speaker. Draconi language, he assumed, followed by please enter, Officer Briggs. The door is open to you. With a deep breath, Briggs pushed the door open and stepped inside. The interior was warmer than human homes, with amber lighting that gave everything a golden glow. The air carried unfamiliar spices and something like heated stone. In the entryway stood 3 Draconi. The tallest, nearly 7 feet in height, had scales in shades of deep green with gold flecks around the eyes and neck. The 2 others were slightly shorter with similar coloring. Welcome to our home, the tallest one said, placing a 4-fingered hand across her chest in what Briggs recognized as a Draconi greeting. I am Elder Zex Krell. These are my life mates, Voss and Trell. Briggs awkwardly attempted to return the gesture. Thank you for hosting me. Elder Zex Krell tilted her head, studying him with golden eyes. You are uncomfortable, Officer Briggs. This is natural. Change begins with discomfort. I'm fine, Briggs said stiffly. One of the other Draconi, Voss or Trell, Briggs couldn't tell which, stepped forward. Let me show you to your room. We have adjusted the temperature to human preference. Briggs followed the Draconi through the home. The walls displayed both Earth art and Draconi cultural items. He noticed photographs of the family with humans, some in police uniforms. You've hosted officers before? Briggs asked. Yes, 4 others before you, and our youngest studies at the Human University. They reached a room that was noticeably cooler than the rest of the house. It contained simple furnishings, a bed, desk, chair, and storage unit, plus a private bathroom. We eat the evening, meal in 1 hour, his guide said. Rest until then if you wish. Left alone, Briggs sat on the bed and looked around. The reality of his situation sank in. 3 months living with aliens, eating their food, breathing their strange-smelling air, learning about a culture he had spent years despising. He unpacked his few belongings, placing his off-duty weapon in a lockbox as required by the program rules. On his phone, he found several messages from fellow officers. Some offered sympathy for his terrible luck at being placed with Draconi. Others were less kind, clearly having seen the video of his encounter with Chief Washington. Miller had sent a simple message. Keep an open mind. It might not be as bad as you think. An hour later, Briggs made his way to the dining area where the family had gathered. Besides the 3 adults, there were 2 younger Draconi, teenagers he guessed. Officer Briggs, Elder Zex Krell said. Meet Mika and Jir, our children. The younger Draconi looked at him with obvious caution. The one called Mika spoke in perfect, unaccented English. Are you the officer from the transit station video? A heavy silence fell over the room. So they had seen it too. Mika, Elder Zex Krell, scolded. We do not question guests about their past actions. But everyone at school is talking about it, Mika insisted. They say he hates us. Briggs felt heat rise to his face. Shame, anger, and embarrassment battled within him. I should go, he said, turning toward the door. Officer Briggs, Elder Zex Krell's voice stopped him. In Draconi culture, we believe that sharing a meal binds us together, even in conflict. Please sit. Reluctantly, Briggs turned back and took the empty seat at the table. The meal consisted of earth foods alongside Draconi dishes. He recognized rice, vegetables, and something that resembled fish. We eat both cuisines in our home, Trell explained, noticing Briggs eyeing the food, cautiously. Our children were born on Earth. They are of both worlds. The meal progressed in uncomfortable silence until Elder Zex Krell spoke. Perhaps we should address the sandworm in the room as humans say. I think it's elephant, Mika corrected. Yes, elephant. Thank you. Elder Zex Krell looked directly at Briggs. Officer Briggs, our family volunteered for this program because we believe in its purpose. Understanding cannot be forced, but it can be grown through shared experience. Briggs poked at his food. With all due respect, Elder, I'm only here because the alternative was losing my job. Yet, you are here, she replied. That is a beginning. After dinner, the younger child, Jir, approached Briggs hesitantly. Officer Briggs, would you like to see my collection? Before Briggs could respond, Jir had darted off to retrieve something from another room. He returned with a box full of model police vehicles from different eras. I want to be an officer when I'm older, Jir explained, eyes bright with enthusiasm, to protect both humans and Draconi. Briggs looked at the models, then at the young Draconi's hopeful face. Something uncomfortable stirred in his chest. These are very good models, he managed to say. Later that night, alone in his room, Briggs lay awake staring at the ceiling. The sounds of the Draconi home were strange, the hum of specialized climate systems, occasional clicks of Draconi language from other rooms, the distant noises of the district outside. His phone vibrated with a message from Chief Washington. Day 1 complete, Officer Briggs. Remember, you're not just representing yourself or the department, but humanity. Weekly reports expected every Sunday. First community patrol with Elder Zex Krell tomorrow at 0900. Briggs set the phone down and closed his eyes. Tomorrow he would walk the Draconi district in uniform, alongside an alien elder. His colleagues would see him. News cameras might follow after the viral video incident. The next morning, Briggs joined the family for breakfast. The meal was simpler, something like porridge with fruit. Elder Zex Krell wore a formal Draconi robe with insignia that Briggs didn't recognize. Are you ready for our patrol, Officer Briggs? She asked. I'm not sure what the point of this is, he admitted. I've patrolled this district for years. Elder Zex Krell tilted her head. Have you? Or have you merely moved through it, seeing only what you expected to see? Before he could answer, a news alert sounded on everyone's devices simultaneously. The family gathered around a screen as a human reporter appeared. Breaking news. Anti-alien protesters have gathered outside the Galactic Confederation Embassy. Sources say the protest was triggered by the viral video showing a new Atlanta police officer's aggressive behavior toward the new police chief. Confederation representatives have expressed concern about Earth's readiness for expanded voting rights within the interstellar community. The screen showed footage of the protest, then cut to the now familiar video of Briggs spitting at Chief Washington. The Draconi family turned to look at him, not with anger, but with something that felt worse to Briggs, a mixture of sadness and understanding. It appears, Elder Zex Krell said quietly, that our patrol today carries more significance than either of us anticipated. 2 weeks into his stay with the Krell family, Officer Nathan Briggs walked through the Draconi marketplace beside Elder Zex Krell. He wore his police uniform while she wore her formal elder robes. Their daily patrols had become a routine, though. Briggs still felt the stares of both humans and Draconi as they passed. The spice merchant reported theft again, Briggs said, checking his tablet. Third time this month. Elder Zex Krell nodded. Humans take the red fire spice. They sell it in human districts as a party drug. For us, it is a cooking ingredient. For them, it causes brief euphoria. They approached a stall filled with colorful powders and dried plants. The merchant, an older Draconi with faded scales, brightened at the sight of Elder Zex Krell, but eyed Briggs with suspicion. Elder Krell, peace to your dwelling, the merchant said in the Draconi language. To Briggs' surprise, he understood the greeting. The daily language lessons with Mika were paying off. Peace to yours, Merchant Zell, Elder Zex Krell replied. We come about the missing spices. Briggs pulled out his tablet and awkwardly attempted the Draconi phrase Mika had taught him. Can you tell what was taken? The merchant's eyes widened in surprise at Briggs's use of their language. After a moment's hesitation, he described the theft in slow, deliberate Draconi that Briggs partly understood. As they finished taking the report, a commotion erupted at the end of the market street. A group of human teenagers had surrounded a young Draconi, pushing and taunting. Hey lizard, show us your tongue. Does it shoot out like in the vids? Briggs and Elder Zex Krell hurried toward the scene. The young Draconi appeared terrified, backed against a wall as 5 human boys closed in. Police, break it up now, Briggs shouted. The teenagers turned, ready to run, but stopped when they recognized Briggs. Hey, it's that cop, one of them said. The one from the video. Another boy laughed. What are you going to do, spit on us too? Briggs felt his face grow hot, but he kept his voice steady. Step away from him, now. Or what? The tallest boy challenged. You going to arrest us for talking to a lizard? You hate them as much as... We do, everyone saw the video. Elder Zex Krell stepped forward. Young humans, this behavior dishonors your species. Return to your homes. The teenagers ignored her, focusing on Briggs. You're a joke now, the tall boy said. Everyone's seen you sucking up to the lizards, trying to save your job. 2 of the boys began recording with their phones. Briggs realized they were trying to provoke him into another viral moment. Taking a deep breath, Briggs stepped between the teenagers and the young Draconi. I'm not asking again. Leave now or I'll call for backup and arrest each of you for harassment. The boys hesitated. Briggs turned to the young Draconi. Are you okay? The Draconi nodded, clearly surprised by Briggs's intervention. That's Jeers. Friend from school, Elder Zex Krell said quietly. Briggs turned back to the teenagers. I know your parents, all of you. Imagine how they'll react when I show them this video of you harassing a kid. Finally, the group backed away. Whatever, traitor, one muttered as they left. The young Draconi thanked them both. As he hurried away, Elder Zex Krell turned to Briggs. You helped him despite their taunts about the video. Briggs shrugged. Just doing my job. No, she said. 2 weeks ago, you might have walked past or made only a token effort. Today, you placed yourself between danger and a Draconi child. Briggs didn't know how to respond to that. They continued their patrol in silence. Back at the Krell home that evening, Briggs joined the family for dinner. These meals had become easier, though still not entirely comfortable. Tonight he noticed Jeer seemed upset. What's wrong? Briggs asked the young Draconi. Jeer looked surprised at Briggs's concern. They canceled our field trip to the science center. The human parents said it wasn't safe for mixed groups right now. Because of the protests? Briggs asked. Mika nodded. The protests are getting bigger. Some humans are saying Earth should leave the Confederation. Elder Zex Krell set down her utensils. The incident at the transit station was merely a spark. The tensions have been building for years. Briggs stared at his plate. His actions had helped inflame an already difficult situation. I'm sorry, he said quietly. The family looked at him in surprise. It was the first time he had apologized. For what specifically, Elder Zex Krell asked. For making things worse. For the video. For how I treated Chief Washington. Elder Zex Krell studied him. Acknowledgement is the beginning of change. After dinner, Briggs sat in the family area with Voss watching news reports about the growing protests. On screen, Chief Washington was addressing reporters outside police headquarters. "We are committed to serving and protecting all residents of New Atlanta, human and non-human alike," she said. "The cultural immersion program continues despite these protests. Understanding takes time, but we're already seeing positive results." "Is she talking about you?" Voss asked Briggs. "I doubt it," Briggs replied. A reporter asked Chief Washington, "What about Officer Briggs? Will he be disciplined for his actions in the viral video?" Chief Washington's expression remained calm. "Officer Briggs is currently serving in the Draconi district as part of our program. His progress is being evaluated like all participants." Voss turned to Briggs. "She is protecting you." "She's protecting the program," Briggs corrected. "I'm just a problem she's trying to solve." The next morning, Briggs woke to urgent voices in the main living area. He found the Krell family gathered around a news broadcast. "Breaking news," the human reporter announced. "The sacred sunstone, a religious artifact of great importance to the Draconi community, has been stolen from their central temple. Authorities fear this provocative act could escalate tensions between human and non-human communities." The screen showed images of the temple with police tape around it. Draconi residents stood outside, many visibly distressed. "The sunstone is central to our equinox celebration next week," Elder Zex Krell explained to Briggs, her voice tight with concern. "It has been on Earth since the first Draconi arrived." Briggs' communicator buzzed with a message from Chief Washington. "All officers report to headquarters immediately. Level 1 alert." As Briggs prepared to leave, Elder Zex Krell approached him. "The humans who did this want conflict. They chose the one thing that would unite all Draconi in anger." "You're sure humans took it?" Briggs asked. "The temple's security system recorded them. They wore masks, but their forms were human." Briggs thought about the teenagers in the market, about the protesters on the news, about his own actions that had helped spark this situation. "I'll do everything I can to help find it," he promised. For the first time, Elder Zex Krell placed a hand on his shoulder, a gesture of trust among Draconi. "I believe you will, Officer Briggs. You are not the same human who arrived at our door 2 weeks ago." As Briggs left for headquarters, his communicator buzzed again. This time it was a direct message from one of the teenagers from the marketplace incident. "Enjoying the chaos, officer? This is just the beginning. Humans first." Briggs stared at the message. The teenager knew something about the theft. This wasn't a random act of vandalism. It was an organized attempt to provoke conflict between humans and Draconi. And Briggs now found himself caught in the middle, no longer certain which side he was on. Police headquarters buzzed with tense activity as Officer Nathan Briggs pushed through the crowd of officers. The main operations room had been transformed into a crisis center. Digital maps showed the Draconi district with red markers indicating protest hotspots. Chief Washington stood at the center issuing orders to team leaders. She noticed Briggs and motioned him over. "Officer Briggs, good. I need someone who understands the Draconi district." "I'm not sure I qualify for that yet," Briggs admitted. 2 weeks living with Elder Zex Krell's family gives you more insight than most officers here," she replied. "What can you tell me about this sunstone?" Briggs explained what he had learned from the Krell family about the artifact's significance to the upcoming equinox celebration. "Without it, the ceremony cannot proceed," he concluded. "Elder Zex Krell believes humans took it to provoke conflict." Chief Washington studied him. 3 weeks ago, would you have cared about a Draconi religious item?" Briggs looked away. "No. And now? Now I see how this theft was designed to cause maximum damage to human-Draconi relations." Chief Washington nodded. "Progress." She turned to the map. "We've got reports of groups heading toward the Draconi temple, both human protesters and angry Draconi." "Chief," Briggs said, showing her his communicator. "I received this message. It's from one of the teenagers I confronted in the market yesterday. Chief Wu. Washington read the message, her expression hardening. This suggests the theft wasn't random. Follow this lead. Find out what this teenager knows. Before Briggs could respond, Officer Miller rushed over. Chief, the Galactic Confederation ambassador is demanding an update. He says if we don't recover the Sunstone before the equinox, they'll recommend suspending Earth's application for full membership. That's in 3 days, Chief Washington said. Briggs, I need results. Use whatever resources you need. Briggs nodded and left. Outside headquarters, he found Elder Zex Krell waiting. My family is worried, she said. Young Draconi are talking about retaliation against humans. I might have a lead, Briggs told her, but I'll need your help. Together, they tracked down the teenager who had sent the message. After some pressure, the boy revealed that the Sunstone theft had been organized by a human supremacist group called Earth First. Their plan was to destroy the artifact during a live broadcast on the day of the equinox ceremony. They meet at an abandoned warehouse near the spaceport, the teenager said. My older brother joined them last month. Briggs reported back to Chief Washington, who organized a task force to raid the warehouse. But when they arrived, they found it empty, recently abandoned with evidence that the group had been there. They knew we were coming, Chief Washington said, surveying the empty space. Someone tipped them off. Back at headquarters, tension filled the air as officers from different units argued about next steps. Briggs noticed something troubling. Several officers were being openly hostile toward their Draconi colleagues. The Earth First group has sympathizers in the department, Briggs told Chief Washington privately. That's how they knew about the raid. Chief Washington looked grim. This goes deeper than I thought. We need a different approach. With less than 2 days until the equinox, Briggs returned to the Krell home to find the family in distress. Mika and Jir were being kept home from school after Draconi children were attacked by human classmates. Violence is spreading, Elder Zex Krell said. Without the Sunstone, my people feel their future on Earth is threatened. That night, unable to sleep, Briggs reviewed everything he knew about the Earth First group. Something about their plan bothered him. Why wait until the equinox to destroy the Sunstone? Why not destroy it immediately? The answer came to him suddenly. They wanted an audience. They planned to broadcast the destruction during the ceremony when both humans and Draconi would be watching. Maximum impact. But to broadcast, they would need a signal, a strong one, capable of overriding regular channels. The next morning, Briggs approached Chief Washington with his theory. There's only one place near New Atlanta with that broadcasting capability. The old communications tower on Ridgeline Mountain. Chief Washington considered this. It's isolated, defensible, and has the equipment they would need. But if we send a large force, they might destroy the Sunstone before we can recover it. I need to go alone, Briggs said. Or with a very small team they won't detect. That's too dangerous, Chief Washington objected. I know these people. I used to think like them, Briggs admitted. Let me try. After much discussion, Chief Washington agreed to a small operation. Briggs would lead, with Elder Zex Krell accompanying him due to her knowledge of the Sunstone. A backup team would remain nearby but out of sight. As they approached the communications tower the day before the equinox, Briggs and Elder Zex Krell moved carefully through the wooded terrain. Through binoculars, they spotted armed guards patrolling the perimeter. There, Elder Zex Krell whispered, pointing to a window where a golden glow was visible. The Sunstone, when exposed to direct light, it emits that distinctive glow. Briggs contacted the backup team to report their findings, but as he did, a twig snapped behind them. They turned to find a guard pointing a weapon at them. Well, the guard said, look what we found. A traitor and a lizard. Inside the tower, Briggs and Elder Zex Krell were brought before the leader of Earth First, a former police officer Briggs recognized from his early days on the force. Nathan Briggs, the leader said. I watched your video. Thought you were one of us. Now look at you, pet cop to the lizards. This won't accomplish anything, Briggs said. You'll just guarantee Earth's exclusion from the Confederation. That's the point, the leader replied. Earth for humans only. No alien influence, no alien power. He gestured to a platform where the sunstone sat connected to a device. Tomorrow, during their precious ceremony, we'll destroy their holy rock on live broadcast. Then we'll see how peaceful these lizards really are. As night fell, Briggs and Elder Zex Krell were locked in a storage room. The backup team had not responded to their last transmission. "I'm sorry," Briggs told Elder Zex Krell. "This is my fault. People like me with hatred in their hearts led to this." Elder Zex Krell studied him in the dim light. "Yet here you are, risking your life to help my people." "Too little, too late," Briggs said bitterly. "No," she replied. "Never too late to change." Using his police training, Briggs managed to break them out of the locked room. They crept through the darkened facility toward the room with the sunstone. But as they reached it, alarms blared. They had been discovered. With no time to lose, Briggs grabbed the sunstone as guards rushed in. A weapon fired. Briggs felt burning pain as a projectile hit his shoulder. He stumbled, but held onto the sunstone. Elder Zex Krell moved with surprising speed, using draconic defensive techniques to disarm the nearest guard. More guards approached from the hallway. "Go!" Briggs shouted to Elder Zex Krell, pressing the sunstone into her hands. "Get this to your people." "Not without you," she insisted. Before the guards could reach them, the wall exploded inward. Through the dust and debris, Chief Washington led a tactical team into the room. "Police. Weapons down now," she commanded. In the chaos that followed, Briggs fell to the floor, his vision darkening from blood loss. The last thing he saw was Chief Washington kneeling beside him, saying words he couldn't hear as Elder Zex Krell held the rescued sunstone glowing in her hands.